Welcome back, Football Manager fans. Today we have a special episode where we look to take on the challenge of rebuilding one of Germany's most historic clubs, Schalke 04. Before we jump into the action, let's take a quick look at the rich history of Schalke 04. The Royal Blues, founded in 1904, the club has seen its fair share of highs and lows. With a passionate fan base and a storied past, we're on a mission to revive the glory days. Schalke has a deep-rooted history in German football. In the 1930s, they dominated German football, winning 6 national championships and becoming the first team to achieve the double, winning both the league and the DFBL Pokal in the same season. And the club has also left its mark in European competitions. In 1997, Schalke reached the UEFA Cup final, showcasing their prowess on the continental stage. The fans have experienced the highs of success, but in recent years have presented significant challenges. Unfortunately, the last few seasons have been tough for Schalke. Relegation from the Bundesliga, financial difficulties and a need for a fresh start. This is where we come in, to rebuild, rejuvenate and guide Schalke 04 back to the summit of German and European football. It's time to rebuild Schalke. And here we are, the managers of Schalke 04. Media prediction is to finish first in the Bundesliga too, and we have been given a war chest of £428,000 to achieve this. And with a club debt of 146 million, this rebuild is going to be interesting. We've got to do a lot of wheeling and dealing in the transfer market. And speaking of the transfer market, we managed to make sales of up to 1.7 million, getting rid of 4 players and a lot of wages off the wage bill. This allowed us to spend in the transfer market. Maximo Uja joined us on a free, a solid centre back for this level. Lauren Oroik was our biggest outlay, 1.5 million spent. Wonderkid striker Nicolo Trasoldi joined us as well for $500,000. And lastly, Joshua Kwashi, another young centre-back joining us for the future. The season started very well with a 2-1 victory over Kaiserslautern. However, Braunschweig then beat us 4-2, and then we drew 1-1 to Kiel. Simon Terode with 3 goals so far this season. We'll be using the 4-1-4-1 mastery, guaranteed success in the lower divisions. Now let's skip to the end of the season and let's see how we get on. Now we could only manage a 3rd place finish for Schalke 04, however we did get promoted to the Bundesliga through the Bundesliga 2 playoffs, beating VfL Bochum 3-2 on aggregate, with the team managing the most shots for across the season and also the most goals scored with 64. This time given a war chest of 482,000, we need to prepare for life in the Bundesliga. So at the start of Season 2, our overall balance was a healthy £25 million, and our club debt had dropped drastically from £146 million down to £142. We made sales totalling £2 million, also losing Simon Terode, our top goal scorer from the Bundesliga 2. However, this allowed us to manoeuvre in the transfer market, bringing in 4 players of high quality. Left back Nathaniel Brown was brought in for £2.1 million from Nuremberg, a left back to last us the whole 5 seasons. Anthony Martial was signed on a free, a lot of wages, but Terode's goals needed to be replaced. Utility man Nadim Amiri was also brought in on a free, a player that can fulfill a lot of positions. And lastly, Cedric was brought in as a right wing back option, a bit of experience across our young squad. We're going to stick with the same tactic for Season 2. Ulrich and Ouedraogo just behind Martial, with Nathaniel Brown coming straight in at left back. Ouedraogo is definitely a player to build around in this challenge. He had a full season last season in Bundesliga 2. Let's see how he fares this season. A lot of big teams in the Bundesliga this season. Media prediction has been given as 14th place as a newly promoted team. Let's see how we get on. It was a fantastic first season back in the Bundesliga. We built a strong squad and Hossein Ouedraogo had a season to remember. Him and Ulrich just behind Martial really gave us the firepower that we needed. Will we improve on our media prediction of 14th? Let's find out. Fantastically, we finished in 7th place, qualifying for the Europa Conference League as well. 17 wins back in the Bundesliga, 53 points, a fantastic return. We were the 4th highest scorers in the Bundesliga with 58 goals across the season. And we also had joint 3rd shots with 371, matching Borussia Dortmund. Martial had a fantastic debut season for Schalke, scoring 14 goals and getting 4 assists across the season. Lauren Oroik had a breakout season of his own, getting 12 goals and 4 assists with 2 player of the matches. Hassan Ouedraogo continues to improve in this team, the youngster getting 8 goals, 3 assists and 5 player of the matches. Lastly, Nathaniel Brown was top assister in the team, with 2 goals and 10 assists from left back. That's 2.1 million well spent. With our club debts further dropping to 137 million, The board afforded us 16 million transfer budget with an extra 100,000 to spend on our wages. Let's see what season 3 brings. So the start of season 3, our balance is looking healthy at 58 million. However, our debt has only dropped by 1 million to 136 million in debt. With nearly 10 million in sales made, added to our 16 million, we had a lot of money to spend in the window. And we did just that, spending 18 million and shifting around some of the wages as well. Mohamed Damar joined us for 2.8 million, a good addition and a backup for our front four. Moise Kean joined us on a free transfer from Juventus, fantastic addition at the top of the field replacing Anthony Martial. We also strengthened the back line with the goalkeeping position, Alexander Nubel joining us on a free, a fantastic addition for our squad. We also added to our wonder kid ranks with Jonah Kusiaser, a young striker for the future. Speaking of real life wonder kids, Nestori Irankunda joined us from Adelaide United to add some flair to the wings. Lastly, we signed my favourite player in Football Manager 24, Tommaso Baldanzi joined us for just 12.5 million from Empoli. A couple of tweaks to the tactic, Baldanzi now being an advanced playmaker on attack, and Moise Kean being a centre forward on attack. Youngster Tayan Bullet is going to be our first choice right back this season for Schalke, coming from our youth academy. It's time to shine. And finally, Ron Schallenberg keeps his place as ball winning midfielder as our DM. As we prepare for our second season in the Bundesliga, the media prediction has given us a 12th place finish, but we also have the Europa League to play in. Can we find success in Europe as well as in the league? Let's find out. We enjoyed a good season at home and in Europe, with Tommaso Baldanzi proving to be a masterstroke of a signing. 12.5 million was well spent. But let's find out how we got on. And once again, we finished in 7th place. It's back-to-back 7th place finishes for Schalke 04, qualifying once again for the Europa Conference League. However, in the Conference League, we were knocked out in the quarter-finals by Fiorentina, in a game that we lost 7-6 on aggregate. Now, Tommaso Baldanzi was the highest goal scorer in the Bundesliga with 19 goals, highest average rating of 7.28. Nathaniel Brown continued his assists with 16 for the season, and also Tommaso Baldanzi got 6 player of the matches. We ended up scoring the second most amount of goals in the Bundesliga, but we did concede the third most. Looking at finances, 60 million in the transfer budget, our financial status is now rich. With the debt, we are down to £131 million, and this gives us a transfer budget of 41 million for the season. Let's prepare for season 4 and let's go again. So for the start of season 4, a very healthy £52 million in balance after our transfers. And our debt has dropped massively to 121 million. We raised nearly 20 million in sales, the biggest sale being Alexander Nubel, our goalkeeper joining Freiburg for 15 million. However, this allowed us to make 9 first team transfers totaling 42.5 million. Ernest Lamar joined us on a free transfer, valued in at 34 to 41 million. He's going to be a first choice winger for us this season. James Gomez joined us for 8 million from Sparta Prague, a strong mobile defender to shore up our defence. Cameron Carter-Vickers joined us a free transfer as a backup centre-back. Almost 12 million was spent on young target striker Nelson Viper, one for the future. Similarly, Onyek Boulet was signed for nearly 11 million and goes straight into the first team. As we sold Nubel, a first choice goalkeeper was needed, and that was Dennis Seaman, signing for 12 million from Stuttgart. Then we signed 3 massive free transfers. The first, Frank Kessie, Omega Dad would be proud. Secondly, Mitrovic was signed to bring some competition to our strike force. Lastly, we signed Fofana as a squad rotation player and to provide competition for Frank Kessie. We're sticking with the tactic that got us consecutive 7th place finishes in the Bundesliga. Ouedraogo moves out onto the left with Neymar and Onyek Boulet coming straight into the first team. Frank Kessie is our new ball winning midfielder, with Gomez slotting in at centre back. So this is season 3 in the Bundesliga, and our media prediction is to finish in 6th place. We have got the Conference League football to play as well. Let's get into it. Onyek Boulet and Ernest Neymar joined straight into the first team and added that much needed quality, whereas Alexander Mitrovic became our first choice striker in the team. We enjoyed success in the Bundesliga with a famous 4-1 victory against FC Bayern, and we enjoyed a good cup run as well in the Europa Conference League. Let's show you what we did in season 4. And what a fantastic achievement. We finished third with Schalke, 20 wins, 3 draws and 11 losses, plus 33 goal difference and 63 points, was 1 point off second. Mitrovic was second top goal scorer in the Bundesliga with 16 goals, with Ernest Lamar getting 10 assists. We scored the most goals in the Bundesliga with 75, 13 of those coming from corners, and we also had the second most amount of shots with 484 across the season. We also had 7 fewest shots against with 315, and we conceded the 7th least amount of goals with 42. In the DFB Pokal, we got knocked out in the semi-final to Bayern Munich, and in the Europa Conference League, we also got knocked out in the semi-final to Crystal Palace. We lost that game on penalties. Alexander Mitrovic was our top goal scorer with 24 goals across all competitions. Ernest Lamar, highest average rating of 7.23, who also had the top assists with Nathaniel Brown with 16 across the season. Tommaso Baldanzi had the most player of the matches with 6 across the season. Ron Schallenberg got 15 yellow cards and Frank Kessie got 1 red. Goals were spread across this team. Tommaso Baldanzi with 17 goals and 12 assists. Onyek Boulay with 16 goals and 6 assists in his debut season. Hassan Ouedraogo with 14 goals and 12 assists. And Moise Kean with 13 goals and 8 assists. At the end of season 4, our overall balance was a very healthy 73 million. With our debts dropping down to 117 million, that's 40 million in debts we've saved so far. The board gave us a generous 45 million to spend in the transfer window for season 5. Let's get into it. Now, at the start of our last season, our overall balance is 117 million and we still have a financial status of rich. Since the start of this rebuild as well, our debt has dropped by 30 million. We added 108 million to our 45 million pound transfer budget in player sales. The biggest sales were Frank Kessie going back to Saudi Arabia for 45 million, and also Moise Kean returning to Italy with AC Milan for 30 million, which in turn allowed us to spend a whopping 88 million on transfers this season. A fantastic free transfer in Jordan Bayer from Burnley, can play at centre back and at right back. Wonder kid Elihiro Shiba was brought in from Kashima Antlers for 4.8 million. Mexican wonder kid Heriberto Guerrero was bought from Santos Laguna for 5.75 million. David Affengruber joined for 19.5 million from Salzburg. He'll join Bayer in defence. Manu Kone is a Frank Kessie replacement, 25 million spent to bring him from Mönchengladbach. And the biggest signing of the season and the series, Youssoufa Moukoko joins for 26 million from Borussia Dortmund. Our 4th season in the Bundesliga for Schalke 04. Media prediction of 6th place with a 33-1 probability of winning the league. And the Bundesliga was not the only competition we're involved in. The UEFA Champions League is coming to Schalke. Now, we've tweaked our tactic for the final season. Moukoko joined by Viper up front, Ouedraogo and Neymar on the wings, Baldanzi as a shadow striker, Kone as a ball-winning midfielder, Brown and Taylor Bullitt as our complete wing-backs, Affengruber and Bayer at the back with Dennis Seaman in goal. We're going for it this season. Can we win the league? Let's find out. Season 5 was a season to remember for Schalke 04 fans. We overachieved in the league and we also had a fantastic outing in Europe. We beat Manchester United 6-1 as a highlight. Moukoko was a fantastic signing at 26 million. Let's see how we got on. And we've achieved the impossible for Schalke 04. We have dethroned Bayern Munich. We are the champions of Germany, 25 wins across the season. We led Bayern by 12 points. What a fantastic achievement. Nelson Viper topped the goal scoring charts with 21 goals in the Bundesliga. The top 3 in average rating was dominated by Schalke, Brown, Viper and Baldanzi. Baldanzi getting 16 assists with Nathaniel Brown getting 13. With Viper and Ouedraogo 5 player of the matches each in joint top. Now, we scored the most goals in the Bundesliga with 94, 9 coming from corners. Most shots for as well with 564 across the season. Unfortunately, we couldn't carry over our Bundesliga success into the Champions League, where we were knocked out in the round of 16 by Man City and knocked out in the quarter-final of the DFB Pokal. Moukoko is our top goal scorer in all competitions with 29. Hassan Ouedraogo, highest average rating of 7.50. Tommaso Baldanzi had 20 assists, with Ouedraogo getting the most 9 player of the match awards. So the player stats in total, Moukoko with 29 goals and 7 assists. A fantastic achievement for Youssoufa Moukoko this season. What a debut season he's had. Ouedraogo with 26 goals and 14 assists across the season. He's really grown in this rebuild. He's a first teamer and one to build around. Nelson Viper, back up last season, first choice this season, 23 goals and 8 assists for him. Fantastic achievement. Baldanzi, the ever-present, with 18 goals and 20 assists. What a fantastic buy he's been for 12.5 million. Onyegbu was a bit part player this season, however still contributed a massive 11 goals to the cause. Mexican wonder kid Heriberto Guerrero also chipped in with 10 goals with 8 assists. What a fantastic season for this young man. Massive contribution from our fullbacks as well. Nathaniel Brown getting 17 assists across the season. 2.8 million well spent in the early part of our rebuild. And also Tayan Bullet with 2 goals and 15 assists. He came through our youth academy. He is a first teamer cemented. We'll leave the club in a healthy £168 million balance, a far cry from when we first started out the rebuild. And a last look at the debts, it's dropped to 111 million, a fantastic achievement in this 5-year rebuild. So one last look of Schalke 04. Unfortunately, we never made it onto the favoured personnel, icon or legends list. However, by the end of this 5-year rebuild, we brought Schalke their first championship in 70 years. We've massively reduced the club's debt, we've improved their finances tenfold, a fantastic achievement in our 5 years at the club. As we won the Bundesliga, Ouedraogo was named as Footballer of the Year winner. Wonder kid to superstar, he's Schalke through and through. We've managed to add another DFB Pokal trophy to the cabinet for Schalke 04, and more importantly, we won the Bundesliga, dethroning Bayern Munich. In conclusion, I think it's safe to say we've successfully rebuilt Schalke.